Welcome everybody to Monday Ramblings. Woohoo! It's Monday. It's time for more rambles. It's my second episode. Hope you liked the first one. As I was returning from volleyball, talked about ticks crawling up on me. 2 ticks in one day up in my attic, and that gave me nightmares. I don't like ticks. So what's going on, everybody, today? Well, in the most absurd topic ever, it's hot out. So if you ever have a conversation with someone about as mundane as the weather, that's it right there. So what do you think about this weather? It's really hot out lately, huh? Yeah, I better put my air conditioning on. I had it up to 68, but I'll drop it down to 70. So I love those conversations. Having those conversations doesn't get much better when you're talking about the weather. But yeah, it is pretty hot, and the air conditioning is on 3. Just FYI, so you know that I do have the air conditioning on. It is on 3, and my home temperature is set at 72 today. Well, I've got fans everywhere because it's only in one room, the air conditioning. I was reading about whether these parents and kids are being split up at the border, and I'm not sure it is a policy of our government to do that, although it may be happening. I read a couple reports from NBC News and CNN, and I read some conservative websites too. And what I found out is that actually it's actually enforcement by the law by Congress. This is not something President Trump is doing on his own. It's I was reading this article, and it said about the ninth Court District is actually allowed. I guess we can't actually just release them once we catch them crossing the border illegally. And my understanding is if they ask for asylum, then families do get to stay together. I was a foster parent for about 4 or 5 years, and in one particular case, I'm not a foster parent anymore, so I can discuss this case now. In one particular case, there was 2 parents that actually assaulted each other. Now, what do they do in that situation? Well, the parents go to jail, and the child is removed from their custody. And they weren't assaulting her; they were assaulting each other, and because of that, they were put in jail. What they try to do is get a relative first, and then they call foster parents to try to get them for temporary care, which is what happened in our case. So about 3 months later, the father was released from prison and immediately got custody back of her daughter, which is completely the way it should be. Wheel balance is really off. It's been Kugels Summer Shandy. I've been just totally obsessed with that beer this summer. And it was on sale at Walmart for $14.99. I got a case. So that's what I've been drinking this year. And then I'm drinking some Yingling too. They have a decent lager, which I like. Sometimes I'll drink summer ale by Sam Adams. And my gosh, Father's Day. Happy Father's Day, everybody. So I got to visit my dad and my brother on Father's Day, which was nice. And hopefully I have some pictures on social media. I'll make some hamburgers and brats. It's a nice cookout. Yeah, we went to the drive-in on Saturday. Saw The Incredibles 2, which I thought was really good. I didn't have high expectations for it because, Finding Dory was awful. It's the same movie, except it's Finding Nemo, except for Dory. And I can't remember the situation. They had to get him out of the... Dory ended up in a aquarium, I think, and they tried to get her out. I can't remember. Anyway, that's Dory. Fucking hell. This shaking. I mean, the whole car is shaking, for Christ's sake. I just had the tires balanced again. I'm going to try to get them all balanced, maybe the back ones too. So what I liked about Incredibles, the storyline was a little different than the first one, which you could kind of compare it to, I guess, Finding Nemo and Finding Dory. They kind of switch roles in the same way that... Oh yeah, Dory was trying to find her parents. She somehow got her memory back. That's it. The funny thing I thought is that they started off, there was like this spoiler alert. They were after this guy who was a mole. He had like a big drill and he made a whole mess of the town, and all the Incredibles were chasing him. So you got Jack the baby, Violet, Mr. Incredible, and Stretch, or Mrs. Incredible. I can't remember her name either. So I think they banned the superheroes again, and then they had this independent wealthy guy wanted to get the superheroes back. So they only had a budget, I guess, to only hire Mrs. Incredible. So then Mr. Incredible had to stay at home with the 3 kids, and then it's funny, I have a teenage daughter now, and she never acts like the way that some teenagers are portrayed, at least girls, as just complete basket cases. And not all, I'm saying she's 13, but I haven't seen that yet. I just think sometimes it's ridiculous. So they're staying at this real expensive house, and Mr. Incredible actually handled the, he handled the business pretty well about taking care of the kids, and he struggled at first. A funny part I thought is he was going over with the kid. I can't think of his name again. He goes really fast. But they were struggling with math, and Mr. Incredible told him, like, why did math change? I mean, you could change it. Like, the process of getting to an answer has changed, is what Mr. Incredible was saying. And then the kid's sitting there, I don't understand. I swear, Zayda and I had, that was her right there. She didn't understand math. She still doesn't. And I'm trying to do the problem from memory, and then I watch like 4 videos on YouTube. And then I try to get her to. Then I know how to do it. I can see how. If I can see somebody do one or see one, I can see the process. That's what I try to do with her, and then she goes, "Well, I still don't understand it." So maybe she's being like Violet there when doing her homework. Then Jack had powers, which I thought was pretty funny. But the usual thing of the SJW nonsense in these movies was not in Mr. Incredibles, where they switch roles, yet they still remained important. Like, the male wasn't more important than the female, or the mom or the dad were more important. They're equal. I love to see that kind of sharing parents in a story instead of, the usual tropes of the men are stupid or they're idiots. And in fact, one of the commercials of The Incredibles, which you may not have seen, but it said, "It's so easy, he can even do it." which I didn't really get offended by that. I think it was funny, but imagine if we did that to a woman. I mean, it's just no way they would. There'd be so much drama. Everybody would be upset. How could you say that about a woman? Me too. Me too. Let's see what other ramblings. Oh, people are upset about Phil Mickelson on that shot. Apparently, it's in the rule book what he did, and people saying he should be suspended is absurd. It's absolutely absurd. And golf is what he did was in the rule books, and he got a 2-stroke penalty for it. And I thought his answer was pretty good. Landon Donovan with the ad for Mexico, or rooting for Mexico. The only thing I don't like about that, I mean, he can root for whoever he wants. It's a fact that we would have a commercial sponsor to root for Mexico. It's kind of interesting. I've never heard of that kind of thing. And the fact that he did that and he got paid for it, I think it's a little disingenuous, because I don't really believe he would certainly want to make a public stance about maybe on your own Twitter feed, but you could say, hey, I'm rooting for Mexico because I know most of the teammates. Well, people would understand that. I mean, nobody at this point, the United States isn't in it, so whoever, but the fact that a U.S. soccer member did that, I mean, he's still making money off his name, which he has every right to do, and good for him. If you want, I'm gonna call a little BS on that one. He only did it for money. He certainly would have done it any other reason other than he wants to. He still has a name. He's recognized as a United States soccer player, and so yeah, we'll see how the ratings go this year without the U.S. in it. But billions of people watched last time, and again, so billions. I thought it was 2 billion. I think I heard that number. Oh, I'm gonna virtue signal for a second. We went to the drive-in and they played the national anthem, and then me and my kids stood up. I looked around. A lot of people stood up. A lot of people didn't. I didn't really. I feel like, and I've seen this even in. We were playing at Orland at a mud volleyball tournament. They played the national anthem, and everybody stopped, even though it was not even. It was way off in the distance. Everybody stopped and started. Stood up, and I thought that was pretty cool. But in Coldwater, there's a little kind of mixed bag of people staying seated or standing. I think it's different if you're at a movie theater than someone's performing live, maybe. I just feel like when I hear it, and that's just me, here's the thing with the NFL. I don't like forced patriotism, and I think what the NFL did was, some say they didn't solve anything, which they didn't really. If people don't want to if people want to kneel, then they're going to be fined for it. It doesn't take away their rights away. There's a penalty for your rights. Expressing, because you usually can't go to your job and protest. And Sundays is a lot of attention, and then it used to be. The only time I ever remember the national anthem being an issue or seeing it was at the Super Bowl. So there's just a lot of elements to it. I don't think they should come out, to be honest. As soon as Kaepernick came out, And I was telling my brother about this. As soon as Kaepernick started kneeling, they should have tried to pass it saying that they wouldn't allow them to. Or the NFL should have said, or the commissioner said. Kind of like David Stern did when Mahmoud Abdul Rauf, you guys remember him from the 90s? He was suspended, I believe, for... I don't think he kneeled or he sat. I can't remember what he did. But on the other hand, I also agree that if they don't want to be out there, why force the players to be out there? It's more for the fans anyway. And just because they did it in college and high school doesn't mean they have to do it for the NFL. I mean, the players being out there is what I mean. I still think we should play it. It's nice on our country when we're together as a community in these events. I think this is good. If they don't, you're not forcing the patriotism. You're not forcing them to come out to the national anthem. And I think that's an American way to handle it. We don't want to force people or have government or anyone else force people to, unfortunately not the government, to force people to go to the national anthem. But it is a sign of respect. So the kneeling, even though Kaepernick was told by I believe a veteran to kneel instead of sitting, it still rubbed people the wrong way. Even though he was taking advice from that ranger, a lot of people just thought it was disrespectful. And partially because of his, most of the issues he's talking about, police brutality, is not backed up by the numbers. We've been averaging about, I looked on the Washington Post on this, we've been averaging about 1,000 deaths the last 3 years of cop killings. Not cop killings. Excuse me. Let me rephrase. Citizens killed by the police. And it kind of goes behind racial lines. Like, I think I came up with like 55% white, 23% black, 19% Hispanic. So for a country of over 300 million, it's not a huge issue. Police brutality. That doesn't mean the police aren't brutal, or they can't, or they can be. That's absolutely true. They absolutely can be brutal, and they make mistakes also. And we can see it by the one case in South Carolina, where he tried to cover up. He shot the guy running away. I mean, there still has been cases, but again, those are so small and tiny. Make up such a small percentage of what's happening in America. So anyway, that's my take on Kaepernick. Let's get back to playing football, okay? Let's done with this national anthem debate. And I think Trump was probably politically right on that issue. But again, he has every right to comment on things that are going on in the country, but I just thought it was kind of ridiculous statements to say that they only had a few of them doing it, and then he was trying to portray that all the players were kind of douchebags. Well, it's been a long Monday ramblings. I usually got into politics. So yeah, it's... Alright, we're getting some traffic, so... This has been Monday Ramblings with Trent Lewis. Please like and subscribe to my YouTube page. And you can follow me on Facebook, or you can follow my company, Tel-All Productions. And I've got this shoot coming up next weekend. Not this weekend, next weekend at Gear Fest. So looking forward to that. And every Monday I'll try to start putting these shows together and cutting them together quicker, getting them out the next day or so. Hopefully the sound's a little bit better and camera's not shaking so bad. This is my exit. See ya next week. This has been Trent Lewis, Monday Ramblings.